What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and man, do I have an interview for you that you are not going to want to miss. That's going to be breaking down what's going to be unfolding this upcoming week, and this is your stimulus and infrastructure bill update. Now, what we have here is White House Economic Advisor Brian Deese, who is having his feet held to the fire by Jake Tapper from CNN's State of the Union, and he outright asks him, he says, listen, what are you going to be doing about inflation? Biden's approval rating is plummeting. People are not happy with his performance. The economy is suffering, and he actually plays for them a clip where President Joe Biden and Brian Deese both said, listen, inflation is going to be temporary, transitory. Americans aren't going to be concerned about it. And then he says to him, were you wrong? And he also says, listen, we're getting word that the inflation that's taking place right now is actually due to that $1.9 trillion stimulus bill that you passed back in March. Are you sure that this next stimulus reconciliation bill is going to be combating inflation? Or might you be wrong, and are you going to be adding even more so to the inflation issue that we're dealing with right now? Now, you're not going to want to miss this one. This has got some good content in it. Now, also, he asks him, listen, you're saying that this is going to be passing the House of Representatives next week. Do you actually have the support from Democrats in the House to get this done this upcoming week? Now, let me know your thoughts, but my question is, even if it passes the House, when it goes to the Senate and Senator Joe Manchin gets his hands on it, is he going to rearrange that bill? Or might he just even cast it out the window? Because he has said that he has got some serious concerns about inflation. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But also, stimulus checks. If you missed my video from earlier this morning, be sure to check it out if you haven't seen it yet, because we've got some deadlines and some arrivals that you're not going to want to miss. If you haven't gotten that third stimulus check, if you're missing child tax credits, also the push continues for the fourth stimulus check and state stimulus checks coming out as well. And if you missed my video from 2 days ago, be sure to check it out, as there is one lucky group of people that we're hearing are going to be getting $2,000 state stimulus checks. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, you might want to, because I've got word of another state that's going to be releasing stimulus checks, and I'm going to get you caught up on that in a video tomorrow. So you guys, let's go ahead though and dive right in, get you this interview, getting you caught up on what's unfolding as of today, November 14th, 2021, with stimulus and the infrastructure bill and what's going to be coming up this week. But before we do, first, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for all the support on the second channel. My mind is blown. 460 subscribers in just like 5 days on the channel that has not yet launched, and that is going to be Steve Ram Finance. So if you're interested, I'm going to pin a comment down below. Click the link. You can go subscribe to the channel if you're interested in learning about building wealth, personal finances. I'm really excited about getting content uploaded for that channel, probably as we get closer to the end of the year. Keep an eye out for that. Really excited. But right now, let's go ahead and get you caught up on the latest with stimulus, reconciliation, and what's going to be unfolding with economic news this week. But before we dive into the video footage, if you could do me a quick favor, just takes a second, smash that like button. It really helps out a ton with my channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, leave your comments, share this out. Like I said, if this is your first time here, don't forget, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to stay up to date on everything going on. And if you got any specific questions for me, that's okay. I'm easy to get a hold of. You can get a hold of me through Instagram at SteveRam3. I will go through and respond to each and every one of your questions to get you answers as best as I can. Here on YouTube, we get a ton of comments, and sometimes scammers try to pose as me and try to trick people out of their personal information or money. You guys, don't fall for it. Contact me on Instagram if you have any specific questions at SteveRam3. But with that being said, let's take a look at this video footage and get you caught up on what we can expect this upcoming week from the White House and Congress with stimulus, reconciliation, and infrastructure.
A response, perhaps, to the political reality. A brand new poll from the Washington Post ABC News shows Biden's approval rating sinking to 41%, a new low, largely because of a negative shift among Democrats and independents, as 70% of the American people, according to this poll, rate the economy negatively. 70%. 63% of the American people think Biden has not accomplished much so far. Joining us now to discuss, top economic advisor to President Biden, Brian Deese. Brian, thanks for joining us. So let's start on this dire inflation report. Take a look at how much prices have risen over the last year. Regular gas prices up more than 50%, utility gas 28%, used cars, beef, pork, eggs, all up. This new Washington Post poll shows 70% of those polled view the economy negatively, 38% say the economy is in poor condition. How concerned are you and the president about inflation, and what specifically are you doing to fix it?
Well, inflation is high right now, and it is affecting consumers in their pocketbook and also in their outlook for the economy. But those concerns underscore why it's so important that we move forward on the Build Back Better legislation, this legislation that the House is going to consider this week. This, more than anything, will go at the costs that Americans face. You talk about healthcare, one of the biggest costs that American families face. This will lower prescription drug prices, put a cap on prescription drug costs for our seniors. Childcare, not only a big cost driver for families, but a big impediment for more parents and women to get back into the workforce. This bill will cut the cost of childcare by more than half for most working families. And housing, too, a big cost driver for families. This bill will build affordable homes all around the country to make it easier for families to afford housing and also to move to places where the job opportunities are. All of these things go right at lowering costs for American families, and this bill is fully paid for. It's not going to add to inflationary pressures, quite the opposite, because we're going to pay for everything in this bill by raising taxes on big companies, large corporations, and the highest income Americans. So there's an urgency to act. The House is going to consider this bill this week, and we're looking forward to making progress in getting this done.
Right, but nothing you just mentioned, assuming that everything you're saying is accurate and comes to pass the way you want, nothing you mentioned would bring down grocery prices, would bring down gas prices. For instance, let's just take gas prices for a second. Is President Biden willing to open the Strategic Petroleum Reserve? Is he willing to stop gas and oil exports so as to alleviate the gas price issue at the pump?
Well, we are very committed to do everything that we can to make sure that American consumers don't bear the brunt of high gas prices and volatile energy prices. And the president has made clear that all options are on the table. We're monitoring this situation very carefully. One of the things that we're really focused on right now is making sure that American consumers don't actually get taken advantage of. One of the things that we've seen in oil and gas markets is because of consolidation, we have fewer large companies actually controlling the market. And so at moments like this, there's a real concern of price gouging or market manipulation that could put consumers could actually harm consumers. So we've asked the Federal Trade Commission to take a very close look at that right now in the current market conditions. And we're also engaging internationally with our counterparts to make sure that other oil-producing nations are not taking advantage of the strength of the recovery and actually profiting at the American consumer's expense. So all those issues are on the table, including Strategic Petroleum Reserve. We're monitoring that closely, and we'll continue to do so.
So, Brian, you saw the bad poll numbers for the president when it comes to the economy. I don't know how much of a factor this was, but President Biden finally publicly acknowledged inflation is worrisome this week. I want to play some sound of what you and President Biden were saying a few months ago in June.
By the way, talk of inflation. The overwhelming consensus is going to pop up a little bit and then go back down. No one's talking about this great,
To the degree that people are focused on inflationary pressures in the short term, that really is not the issue.
Do you think that you and the president were wrong and inflation is not a short-term pop up a little bit and then go back down issue?
No, I don't think so, Jake. I think what we have said consistently is that the pandemic and the economy are interlinked. And certainly we saw, just as the Delta variant posed real health challenges to the economy, it also had economic impacts. More people were consuming goods at home, watching TV rather than buying a new television, rather than going out to the movies and spending on services. And so that's added to some of the supply chain challenges that we face. But we're seeing these price increases as inflation globally because of the supply chain challenges associated with COVID. That's why we're going right at attacking those issues right now as well. In the very immediate term, we're working with ports around the country to get goods moving more quickly through the economy. And this infrastructure bill, the bipartisan bill that the president will sign tomorrow, is the most significant step that we will have taken in decades to actually invest in the arteries that help move goods more quickly through our economy, more cheaply through our economy, and was designed that we can move out quickly on some areas like our ports to try to start providing some relief. So we have been focused on this issue. We continue to be focused on this issue in the short term, but also addressing these medium-term issues as well.
So, but you talk about the Build Back Better Act, which is $1.75 trillion as a solution to this problem. But your predecessor under President Obama, Larry Summers, he pointed this week to the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan that was passed earlier this year in March. He said that's a major reason behind the rising inflation, something he called at the time, quote, the least responsible macroeconomic policy we've had in the last 40 years. Is it possible that Americans are suffering now from high prices because the Biden administration overstimulated the economy with all of this money going into the economy?
Well, no, that's not our perspective. The American Rescue Plan saved us from an acute economic emergency. It's hard to remember, but recall that when the president took office, there were 18 million people collecting unemployment benefits and 3,000 Americans a day dying. But Professor Summers agrees on the Build Back Better plan that it will not increase inflation, and actually making investments in things like lowering the cost of childcare or providing universal preschool will actually improve the productive capacity of our economy. So I think we actually know what we need to do here. We need to make a fully paid for investment that will actually unlock more opportunity, get more people working in the economy, and that's where our focus is.
If you are standing by your statement and the president's statement that inflation is transitory, short-lived, when do you think inflation is going to go back below the 2% level considered normal?
Well, look, there's lots of independent experts that make predictions. Most believe that inflation will moderate next year. But I really think that, consistent with what you were talking about before, most Americans are less interested in predictions and they're more interested in actions and seeing concrete action to try to address these issues. That's what our focus is. And the poll that you put forward showed that a significant majority of Americans support the components of the Build Back Better agenda because it is oriented toward delivering on the practical cost issues that they face in their lives. Housing, healthcare, childcare, transportation. These are things that typical Americans are dealing with, and these are solutions that we can provide. And action is going to speak louder than words. We recognize that. That's what the American people are looking for, and that's why we are focused on moving this bill through Congress and getting this infrastructure bill implemented without delay.
So is Build Back Better, is that act going to pass the House this week?
Well, we are confident that it will. We are confident that Speaker Pelosi is going to bring it up and that it will pass this week.
Man, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. There was a lot of good content in that interview, holding their feet to the fire, man, saying, were you outright wrong about inflation? Did you overstimulate the economy? Biden's approval ratings are plummeting. Are you actually going to get the support in the House to pass the bill next week? Man, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, you guys, this is all going to be unfolding. I'll be sure to keep you up to date here on the channel. And also, if you missed that previous video on stimulus checks, be sure to check that out right after this one, especially if you haven't gotten that third check, you're missing child tax credits, also state stimulus check updates, and the push for the fourth check, all in that previous video, and also from 2 days ago, and another state stimulus check going to be hitting the channel tomorrow as a new one is out. So you guys, I'm going to keep you up to date here on the channel. And if you like and appreciate that and you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, smash the like button. Helps me out a ton. Thank you so much. Also, leave your comments, share this out, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell to stay up to date. If you want to learn about finance, personal finance, and building wealth, join the Steve Ram Finance channel. And if you got any specific questions for me, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3. But with that being said, you guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it reaches you well. I will catch you in the next one. Have a blessed evening. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.